What I'm going to show you today is a hot smoke. And a hot smoke range is anywhere between 140 and 170. People say you get over that 170, you're cooking, you're not smoking. So we need to stay within that range. So, a smoker. I'm going to do it cheap. I have 2 foil disposable containers, and they're from the dollar store. If you have a wok that your mother-in-law gave you that you don't know what to do with, that has a lid, that will work. If you have a cast iron pan that's deep enough, like a Dutch oven, because you're going to need some space to allow the smoke to circulate around your fish, that will work too. There's all kinds of other things. This is the easiest and cheapest way to do it. Okay, so this is our bottom pan. And we're going to need something to smoke. If you're in the British Isles, they tend to use sugar a lot for indoor smoking. I'm not fond of it. I don't like that dark caramelized taste, but it does work. So there's an option. The other thing are things like, things like this. You can get chips, wood chips, at all kinds of hardware stores or places that sell barbecues and this kind of thing. However, you have to be very careful because the fine print on this particular one says do not use indoors. These are pelletized chips, and although they'll give you the flavor you want, they're better for the barbecue on the summer's afternoon. What you really want are real, live wood chips. Now, a hardwood is better than a softwood, but some people like that kind of tarry taste that pine or cedar gives to you. It's a more aboriginal taste. If you have tasted smoked salmon or salmon from either Northern Ontario or BC, you'll get that kind of flavor to it. But hardwood is best, apple, any kind of fruit tree, and this happens to be maple. Now, it doesn't mean that you can go out to the local workshop and sweep up some sweepings and bring them home, because you want pure wood. There are some woods that are put together, like plywood, that have a glue in them, and that's not what you want. Not outdoors, not indoors, because it can create poisons. So you want pure chips. So how did I get these? My husband went over to Hoffmeyer's, who gave him a piece of wood, and he put it through the planer. And then we held the bag, and we got it. So a small piece of wood will bring you a lot of chips. So, now our chips. If I just put the chips here and throw it on the stove or in the oven, they're going to flame. They're dry. So we have to add some moisture to them so they will smoke. If you check this out on internet, they'll say things like throw them in the blender and whiz them up with 4 cups of water and strain them. No, don't go through all that. For a container this size, we need about a cup of wood chips. Did you take my water?
I took your water.
Took my water. Put them in a little plastic bag, and what I'm going to do is add a tablespoon of water and then massage them. And they will fluff up, and they will be moist enough to give you smoke, not smudge, and not burn. As soon as it comes up. There we go. And you will see that they will go from a little thin strands to what looks like almost coconut or grated potato that's been left out. That's kind of the effect you want to get. Okay, so we're going to throw that in the bottom here. And spread it down the center. So next we need something to actually fish smoke. So, dollar store. They used to be $1. I looked yesterday and they're $1.50 now. But you get a little rack like this, and it's not going to fit. So what we're going to do, if you're using a wok or a Dutch oven, what you might want to do is get a round cake cooling rack so it fits down in. Again, if it doesn't fit, you're just going to ball up some foil. Doesn't have to be too artistic. I would suggest not to use the one that the cat's been playing with. And this just forms a little ledge on either side of your pan. For your rack to sit on. So we take our dry fish and we fit it down right over top there like that. We have about 2 inches between the top surface, can you see it? The top surface of the smoking material and the fish. So I'm going to take a little bit more maple syrup. Tom, can you take that syrup so I can use the and just brush it over to give it a little bit of a glaze, a little bit more flavor. Okay, next step. Our lid. You're going to poke a hole in the center because of physics. The smoke is going to come up from the top, it's going to rotate through and come back down. It has to go someplace, otherwise it'll eat up the oxygen and you won't have any smoke. You'll just have muck at the bottom here. So you have to have some way to allow the draft to come up. You don't have a big hole, just something you can see. Right? So now I'm going to seal it with a little bit of foil. So the first piece of foil I'm going to put on here, I'm going to lay it this side of the hole so the hole is still exposed. Scrunch it up good because you want the smoke to come out the hole and not the edges. Now the second piece of foil I'm going to put on here, I'm going to go over the hole and cross over the pieces of foil. Scrunch it down nice and tight. Now with my finger I can feel where the hole is because I poked it from the bottom up. I'm going to take scissors and just cut and fold this back, expose the hole. Now, at this point, you need to take a little yellow sticky and say, put the battery back in the smoke alarm. Then you walk over and you take the battery out of the smoke alarm and put it in your pocket, okay? Otherwise, it will go off. Check your vent over your stove. If it doesn't vent to the outside, because some don't, they have a charcoal thing and it rotates through the room. Crack open a couple of windows or a door, or we have 3 floors. I usually open a window on each floor. When you take the fish off, there'll be time to go and close all those things after you do it. Just makes sure that the house doesn't get filled with smoke. I like the smell. It reminds me of the cottage. Okay, so we're going to stick this. If you have a gas stove, just stick it on top of the burners. If you're using an electric stove, you're going to have to pre-warm your burners to start with, about a medium. So we're going to start this on high, and what you're going to do is wait until you can see a thin stream of smoke coming out of the top here.
There it is.
Okay, so you can see it. Can everybody see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so now what we're going to do is just turn it down So we maintain that. So we maintain the smoke. If I can find my timer.
Hope somebody doesn't
We're going to
tweak
time
the
it for
fire
15
alarm.
minutes. Voila, you have made a smoker. You spent under $10.